Om Shri Krishnaya Paramatmane Namaha. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Pathanjali Yoga Sutram. Sutrams 21 to 29. In Sutram 20, Pathanjali talked about the nature of the soul. He continues talking about the soul from the sutras as well. Sutram 21. Tadartha eva drishasyatma. The nature of the experience is for him. Nature has no light of its own. As long as the Purusha is present in it, it appears light. But the light is borrowed, just as the moon's light is reflected. All the manifestations of nature are caused by this nature itself, according to the yogis. But nature has no purpose in view except to free the Purusha. Sutram 22. Kritartham prati nashtam apyanashtam tadhanya sadharanatvat. Though destroyed for him, whole goal has been gained, yet is not destroyed, being common to others. The whole idea of this nature is to make the soul know that it is entirely separate from nature, and when the soul knows this, nature has no more attractions for it. But the whole of nature vanishes only for that man who has become free. There will always remain an infinite number of others for whom nature will go on working. Sutram 23. Swaswami Saktyo Swarupo Palabdi Hetu Samyogaha. Junction is the cause of the realization of the nature of both the powers, the experienced and its Lord. According to this aphorism, when the soul comes into conjunction with nature, both the power of the soul and the power of nature become manifest in this conjunction, and all these manifestations are thrown out. Ignorance is the cause of this conjunction. We see every day that the cause of our pain or pleasure is always our joining ourselves with the body. If I were perfectly certain that I am not this body, I should take no notice of heat and cold or anything of the kind. This body is a combination. It is only a fiction to say that I have one body, you another, and the sun another. The whole universe is one ocean of matter, and you are the name of a little particle, and I of another, and the sun of another. We know that this matter is continuously changing. What is forming the sun one day, the next day may form the matter of our bodies. Sutram 24. Tasya hetur avidya. Ignorance is its cause. Through ignorance, we have joined ourselves with a particular body and thus opened ourselves to misery. This idea of body is a simple superstition. It is superstition that makes us happy or unhappy. It is superstition caused by ignorance that makes us feel heat and cold, pain and pleasure. It is our business to rise above this superstition, and the yogi shows us how can we do this. It has been demonstrated that under certain mental conditions, a man may be burned. Yet, while that condition lasts, he will feel no pain. The difficulty is that this sudden upheaval of the mind comes like a whirlwind 1 minute and goes away the next. If, however, we attain it scientifically through yoga, we shall permanently attain to that separation of self from the body. Sutram 25. Tadad bhavat samyoga bhavo hanam tad drishe kaivalyam. There being absence of that ignorance, there is absence of junction, which is the thing to be avoided. That is the independence of the seer. According to this yoga philosophy, it is through ignorance that the soul has been joined with nature, and the idea is to get rid of nature's control over us. That is the goal of all religions. Each soul is potentially divine. The goal is to manifest this divinity within by controlling nature, external and internal. Do this either by work or worship, or psychic control, or by philosophy, by one or more or all of these, and be free. This is the whole of religion. Doctrines or dogmas or rituals or books or temples or forms are but secondary details. The yogi tries to reach this goal through psychic control. Until we can free ourselves from nature, we are slaves. As she dictates, so we must go. The yogi claims that he who controls mind controls matter also. The internal nature is much higher than the external and much more difficult to grapple with, much more difficult to control. Therefore, he who has conquered the internal nature controls the whole universe. It becomes his servant. Raja Yoga propounds the methods of gaining this control. Higher forces than we know in physical nature will have to be subdued. This body is just the external crust of the mind. They are not two different things. They are just as the oyster and its shell. They are but two aspects of one thing. The internal substance of the oyster is taking up matter from outside and manufacturing the shell. In the same way, these internal fine forces, which are called mind, take up gross matter from outside and from that manufacture this external shell or body. If then we have control of the internal, it is very easy to have control of the external. Then again, these forces are not different. It is not that some forces are physical and some mental. The physical forces are but the gross manifestations of the fine forces, just as the physical world is but the gross manifestation of the fine world. Sutra 26. Viveka kyathir aviplava hanopayaha. The means of destruction of ignorance is unbroken practice of discrimination. This is the real goal of practice. Discrimination between the real and unreal, knowing that the Purusha is not nature, that it is neither matter nor mind, and that because it is not nature, it cannot possibly change. It is only nature which changes, combining and recombining, dissolving continually. When through constant practice we begin to discriminate ignorance will vanish, and the Purusha will begin to shine in its real nature, omniscient, omnipotent, omnipresent. Sutra 27. Tasya saptadha prantha bhumih prajnana. His knowledge is of the sevenfold highest ground. When this knowledge comes, it will come as it were in 7 grades, one after the other, and when one of these has begun, we may know that we are getting knowledge. The first to appear will be that we have known what is to be known. The mind will cease to be dissatisfied. While we are aware of thirsting after knowledge, we begin to seek here and there, wherever we think we can get some truth, and failing to find it, we become dissatisfied and seek in a fresh direction. All search is vain until we begin to perceive that knowledge is within ourselves, that no one can help us, that we must help ourselves. When we begin to practice the power of discrimination, the first sign that we are getting near truth will be that dissatisfied state will vanish. We shall feel quite sure that we have found the truth and that it cannot be anything else but the truth. Then we may know that the sun is rising, that the morning is breaking for us, and taking courage, we must persevere until the goal is reached. The second grade will be that all pains will be gone. It will be impossible for anything in the universe, physical, mental, or spiritual, to give us pain. The third will be that we shall get full knowledge, that omniscience will be ours. Next will come what is called freedom of the chitta. We shall realize that all these difficulties and struggles have fallen off from us. All these vacillations of the mind, when the mind cannot be controlled, have fallen down, just as a stone falls from the mountain top into the valley and never comes up again. The next will be that this chitta itself will realize that it melts away into its causes whenever we so desire. Lastly, we shall find that we are established in ourselves, that we have been alone throughout the universe. Neither body nor mind was ever connected with us, much less joined to us. They were working their own way, and we, through ignorance, joined ourselves to them. But we have been alone, omnipotent, omnipresent, ever blessed. Our own self was so pure and perfect that we required none else. We required none else to make us happy, for we are happiness itself. We shall find that this knowledge does not depend on anything else. Throughout the universe, there can be nothing that will not become effulgent before our knowledge. This will be the last state, and the yogi will become peaceful and calm, never to feel any more pain, never to be again deluded, never to touch misery. He knows he is ever blessed, ever perfect, almighty. Sutra 28. Yoga Anganushthanad Asuddhikshaya Jnanadiptir Aviveka Kshayathe. By the practice of the different parts of yoga, the impurities being destroyed, knowledge becomes effulgent, up to discrimination. Now comes the practical knowledge. What we have just been speaking about is much higher. It is way above our heads, but it is the ideal. It is first necessary to obtain physical and mental control. Then the realization will become steady in that ideal. The ideal being known, that remains What remains is to practice the method of reaching it. Sutra 29. Yama Niyama Asana Pranayama Pratyahara Dharana Dhyana Samadhyayaha Ashtau Angani. Yama Niyama Asana Pranayama Pratyahara Dharana, Dhyana, Samadhi are the limbs of yoga. With this, Sutram 21 to 29 is completed. In these Sutrams, Pathanjali talks about the soul's unaffected nature, the connection between Prakriti and Atma, and then about ignorance of Atma being misunderstood for body or Prakriti. He also talks about Atma Sakshatkara and Ashtanga Yoga. We will see in the next episode from Sutram 30 onwards. Samastaloka Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.